not break 100.
You did not break 100. Welcome back, by the way.
Yeah.
Didn't break 100. You went to some pretty challenging courses.
Yeah, man. I told you this already, so we might as well just put it down. I'm a terrible golfer who has been to some amazing golf courses. Like, there are some golfers out there, just wish they could have played some of the courses that I've played in the last 2.5 years. Yeah, that nice. So, but I'm going to return back to our rocking chair conversation by the Hiwassee River, and we were talking about travel. I mean, I just spent 8 days in a van, almost 3,000 miles, with 3 young fellas, and 4 of those days were in Quebec. You know what is unique about Quebec of all the Canadian provinces?
I know the answer to this. You want me to answer it?
Yes, I do.
And I know because you told me.
Yep.
Their primary language is French.
Official language.
Official language.
Official. Yeah.
Yeah.
Provincial vote. We are speaking French in your shop and in your business. French.
Huh.
I roll up at A&W and order a burger. It's all in French. Respectfully, I say bonjour. And they automatically start talking to me in French because they think, I'm like, oh, no, I don't speak your beautiful language.
So did any of your guys have any help? They offer any help in that scenario?
No, they speak German. They all took German with ULO.
Okay. I got you.
And I'm a Spanish fella. And so we had nothing to draw upon except apologies and a lot of bonjour and merci. Just to be respectful. But yeah, it was, the first day felt really awkward. And the next 3 days was really cool to be in a place where, everyone we encountered was bilingual and they could flow in and out of whatever was necessary in that moment. And we're left yet again with a reminder that we can't do that. We can't function that way. And it's kind of a bummer. But that's just my personal take on it. That's not a judgment take, but it's just like it was another cool reminder of what travel can remind us of. The beauty of language, the beauty of shared culture, the ability to navigate different languages and cultures. And those who can do that, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there are folks with 6 languages, which means 6 cultures, just 6 groups of people to where they can truly engage. It was cool. I loved it for my boys. We did play golf, but we traveled. We rode bikes through Toronto. It was a good time.
Huh. Sounds like fun.
So get your passport, Matt Paris.
Yeah. Outside of Quebec, is there like a pretty sharp difference that you notice as a traveler as far as that goes? Yeah,
you kind of feel the vibe. As soon as you cross over into Ontario, like everything returns to English. All signs, menus, greetings.
Wow.
It's like you traveled from one country to another country within the same country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
You'd think some of that would like trickle outward, and maybe it has, but
I'm sure there's other Canadians who speak French, but like in this one province, this is who we are. It's crazy. Cool. But Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, Canadian Niagara Falls, we saw, Kev did a great job. We stayed in 7 hotels and 8 nights, and everything just fit. And it was fun.
Pretty good.
So now we're back in school.
We are.
Yep.
By the time our listeners hear this, we'll have a couple days under our belt. But, as we're recording this today, we just finished our first half day. So yeah, it was a whirlwind. I know we were talking a little bit about it, just now, but kind of a whirlwind of a day. Just bam, it's gone. And,
the day is gone or summer is gone?
The day was gone. Yeah. I'm trying to force my thinking. Somebody said that to me today. Summer's over. And I was like, nah, man, summer's not over.
Are you a September 21st guy?
Well, I haven't been in the past, but I kind of that felt good to my brain today to say, no, summer's not over, man.
That's
The
right.
days are still long. The temperature's still warm. I'm still mowing the grass and wearing shorts and short sleeves. So school's back. But my summer, I'm going to force myself to try to allow it to continue as much as I can. So I need that. My psyche needs that.
Yeah, me too.
So
I do. I remind other people as a reminder to myself. I don't know how long I will give you credit, but I am continuing to give you credit every time I collaborate with ChatGPT.
Well,
it's probably been a year, but like you just did this. And so like, it just flows out of my mouth. Well, I collaborated with ChatGPT again because Matt Paris told me to.
Listen, I do some of the stupidest stuff with ChatGPT. I was sitting there the other night, and you can find evidence of this in my kitchen right now. Sitting there the other night, and I was like, man, I kind of haven't been buying anything sweet because I'm a sweets guy, man. You put a freaking like a little Debbie package in the house, I'll tear one down right now. So I just don't buy them. Stop buying them. And but the other night, man, I had a sweet tooth that was killing me. Hey, ChatGPT, give me like a simple but solid chocolate chip cookie recipe. Because I spied like a bag of chocolate chips in the pantry. It spit one out. And there was an ingredient there that I didn't have. And I was like, man, I don't really want to go to the store. What? I don't have this. And it was like, oh, no big deal. Here's another recipe. I just made a big batch of chocolate chip cookies.
Did it work?
Yeah, absolutely.
You got any left?
Yeah.
You haven't offered any yet?
I'm sorry. Well, I started with the have you had lunch? But
all I needed was the apology. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry, man.
All right.
On the way out.
You did it just for fun, man. I did work. Ready to hear my work?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this isn't a finished work, but I'm literally going to read this first. So I asked ChatGPT for a list of 30, and then I went back and scaled it down to 20. And, I asked him for 5, and then 10, and then 20, and then 30. So really, I filtered through 65 things to get it down to my 20. Okay. So in the end, this is going to be for me as a history teacher with history students. But for me, that means American citizens on the threshold of adulthood. Okay. So I let it do its work. I did my work. This is still a work in progress. I already sent it out to a couple folks and said, give me some feedback. And Ann Pickens already did me a solid and said, hey, there's a few things you need to add to this. So totally open. Okay. But I'm going to start something. Then I'm going to have you just come up with a short list. And then I'm going to give you some of the things that ended up on mine. This will make sense here in just a second.
Okay.
All right. Listed below is an essentials list that every American high school student should be able to discuss as they near graduation and stand upon the threshold of adulthood. Okay. So I asked for an essentials list. That's what I asked for.
Yeah.
So you can hear my words in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But man, it did some heavy lifting for me. So not just as trivia, not encyclopedic, but as entry points into deeper civic, historical, and cultural understanding. The essentials list is not just things to know, but learning targets, what every American graduate should carry forward. These concepts are lenses to see the world, to recognize, wrestle with, and reflect upon. Tools for shaping citizenship, context, and conscience. Skills of historical literacy, civic awareness, and moral clarity. So, yes, there are 95 standards. Yes, there is an end-of-course test. So, yes, there's facts to learn. But, you and I have this conversation all the time. And anybody that is wants to be a part of an authentic learning community, it's more than just the facts. Whether we're studying the Bible or we're studying history or criminal justice or math, there is the core, there is the foundation. But then what matters in the end, especially in public education, what are you truly taking away? I saw Virginia Willis today, SRO, who used to be a junior in high school, who used to be in middle school. She's one of ours. But
did you have her in class?
Yeah, of course I did.
Yeah.
Okay, so It's just neat to see folks like her now in the real world. So if I have a conversation with her and I gave her a history test from back in the day, I mean, a girl like Virginia would do pretty well, probably.
She'd probably do pretty well. Yeah.
But it's the, hey, remind me what you remember. And it's going to be concepts. It's going to be things. So I would say to you, I'm going to throw it back to you. And like, you can pick your criminal justice lane. You could stay in the historical lane, or you can just recognize that we hang out with young people who really are going to, I mean, they're not only declaring their independence now, but like they will be independent once they, put that robe on in May.
Yeah.
What would you want them to be able to discuss? What would you like for them to be able to navigate when it comes to, hey, this is real conversation. Like, contribute to this. Like, what do you know? Volley this back to me. Like, what would make your list? Can you get to 3, 4, or 5 of just like?
Yeah, as you were talking, I was doing that thing that I can't resist sometimes, and I was thinking about my answers. And because you are who you are, and you mentioned the name Ann Pickett's, my mind kind of went to a history lane.
Yeah,
and I'll start, and it'll be very broad, but as niche down as you want me to get, I'm willing to go there. But at a minimum, I would love for a high school student to be able to at least participate in a conversation about the big ones. Okay, so let's start in this U.S. story at the beginning. Let's talk the movement here, the revolution. That let's put that in its box. Okay. And then we had a pretty big. I go straight to the Civil War. Now, there's a lot in between, I'm aware. Civil War is a big one. I would love for you to be able to participate in a conversation, or at least have some knowledge about what happened, why, what did it change, what is today that wouldn't have been had we kept going in the direction of a different union, a different country. Let's see. And then I hate to keep talking wars, but there's some pretty significant ones that changed a lot. You got the world wars.
All right, let me pause you right there.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just go right back to, you said revolution, right?
Yeah.
The American Revolution. Okay, Tommy boy. Okay, you with me?
You can take the butcher's word for it. Yeah. Okay.
That's one part of the quiz. Okay.
Herbie Hancock.
Yes. And he knows he's
Yeah.
right. Okay, you with it? Thank you. You got there on your own. All we had to do was make eye contact. Okay. There is the John Hancock moments of, okay, we're talking the revolution. This guy ain't scared. He signs it as big as he can so King George can see it without his glasses. Okay.
Yeah.
But how does that help us navigate our generation's dealings with the end game document? What was the end game document for the revolution? End game. We start with the Declaration, so let's just go ahead and say that.
Yeah, the Constitution.
It is the Constitution. Yeah. So on my list, the U.S. Constitution is a living document shaped by interpretation and struggle. Like, they formed it. Shoot, they debated it.
Mm-hmm.
They struggled with it. And then so did George and John and Thomas, and then run that through. Now we're at Abe and Andrew Johnson and U.S. Grant. Okay, you just took us to the World Wars. Woodrow Wilson, I mean, he's struggling with it. He's wrestling with it. It is a living document for his generation. Americans had never been involved in an armed conflict on another continent like this ever before. So what can I do with this? Folks like Charles Schenck and Eugene Debs rise up and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're about to create a military draft. Can't do that. Look at the Constitution, right? You get into, so FDR wants to start creating all this legislation. Like, it's a wrestle with the document. His whole, 100 days, his whole New Deal, it's a wrestling with the Constitution. We live in a generation right now where executive orders are being signed at a pace that we have never seen before. That is a struggle and a wrestling with this document. And so I love it that you started there. And I just wanted to kind of clarify of like, yeah, there are the facts and the storyline, but like, what was the end game? Like in the Civil War, let's go there. What was, there's really ended up being 3 changes to that Constitution after the Civil War. Do you know what amendments those were off the top of your head? Because this is the end game legislation now that the Union is back together.
Oh, is the 13th wrong?
No, that's right.
Okay.
And then the next 2, 14 and 15.
Yeah.
Do you know what those 3 are?
Not enough to speak very much on it. I need the 14th.
You'll know as soon as I say them, but like,
yeah,
the 13th got rid of what?
Slavery.
Yeah. And the 14th defined equality. And the 15th gave African American men specifically the right to do what?
Vote.
Which means women still did not have the right to vote. Their struggle continued. Mm-hmm. And it would continue for like multiple generations forward. Susan B. Anthony is this face and this voice. She'll die before the 19th Amendment ever gets passed. So like this whole conversation that you just started, there are characters and there's events and there's settings and there's places and there's times and but like the document itself and the wrestle, we're wrestling right now.
So my entire answer started in the same direction that you're going right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I imagine this illustration you've probably seen before where somebody takes a jar and they put large rocks in it.
Yeah.
Until they fill it up and they say, is it full? And they say, yeah. Well, then they start putting small gravel in there and it holds a lot more, and then sand, and then what? And that's kind of the way I'm framing this, because I'm going to go.
What else you thinking?
I'm going to go straight through the world wars. I'm going to get into things, the 60s, man, the civil rights movement in the 60s, and you can batch in the Vietnam. You have to stop there. But I'm going to take you straight to, and I'm skipping over a lot, and I'm aware, but I'm trying to get to the end, which is where we are today. And I have to visit, first of all, 9/11, huge, and then COVID. And the theme of all of that, the gravel that you start putting around the big rocks, is exactly what you're saying. The things that changed or were wrestled with or were debated.
Yeah,
or
give me another big rock as you see it. A big rock that a high school graduate would be able to drop in there and go, this is essential. This has got to go first. And I
should have wrote these down. Now I've lost what I've said and what I have.
I can navigate this conversation. We'll bring something up. I'll remind you. But
did I say COVID-19 already?
You did.
Okay.
But what about COVID-19? What about the civil rights movement? What about Vietnam?
Well, about every one of those, the gravels that we start dropping in are the struggles that we see. Often where they show up for me and for you are battles that were fought in a court and either ended up amending or changing the Constitution. And we start talking landmark U.S. cases. We could talk about those. There's thousands of those. We mentioned one on our last podcast, Roe versus Wade. Yeah. No matter what side of that you are on, that is impactful to essentially everybody in our country. You start talking the Plessy Fergusons, the Brown versus all of these struggles are happening because all I've mentioned is the big rocks, but there's thousands of little rocks around those, and I'll stop this metaphor at some point.
No, you can ride this thing all the way through today.
But it goes back to how I started this conversation. And that's why it's so, you institute a new state law that causes school boards and school administrations to act and change their daily procedures. You get some guff about it, some pushback from students or parents. And for a guy like me, who's going to tell this story that you and I are talking about right now, for the kids that don't remember this, they remember not going to school, and they remember having to wash their hands a lot and probably wear a mask, but they're probably not as aware of, people being arrested for opening their beauty salon, or churches being fined in California for having service. Now, no matter which side of that you agree on, there's always this idea in our story, in our U.S. story of, and this is leaning toward the criminal justice side, but I mentioned this to you earlier, the order of the public versus the rights of the individual. Because that's when we boil everything down, we fall into, and it's not a this or that. You may be in one camp on an issue and then be in the other camp on another issue. But it's what it all boils down to, is the government's role in the lives of individual Americans who have bought in, and somebody in their family, mostly at some point, has said, I want to go live this dream. Or they've been brought to a place and now find themselves, their descendants, generations later, living in this idea of what America is, and it's just been a story of struggle, a story of debate.
If I say the name Linda Brown to you, do you know who that is off the top of your head?
Not really.
That's Brown versus Board of Education.
Oh, that would have been the easy guess.
Okay, well, you didn't guess it.
I know.
We've brought her up before, as we should, but watch this. It's not Linda Brown, the elementary school student. It's her parents who said, I want these same educational opportunities for my daughter. And in a small act of rebellion, we're going to send our child to this school. Like it's that piece right there that I want people to understand, because that gets at your gut. That's her parents knowing something, feeling the angst, having the courage to do it anyway. Because they know, like in other places, people have tried to challenge it before. I mean, even before Brown versus Board, the state of California said, hey, we're going to desegregate as a state. The rest of the country, you can keep doing whatever you want to. Federal courts, the Supreme Court hadn't said anything yet for like another 7 years. I think I'm close on that. But Linda Brown, and there are 5 other families that did that little act of rebellion because there was something set up in their town. This is what my second one was, and you hit on it. This is why this is, I love this. 2 for me is protest is patriotic. Protest and dissent are as American as apple pie. Protest is a part of this. I mean, like, go all the way back to your revolution. There were people who did not want the American Revolution to happen. They were called loyalists, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they still considered themselves British. They just lived across the ocean, and they were against the war. The Civil War, there were people that said we should not be fighting each other, and they were against that war. When we went down to Cuba and sent our Navy to the Philippines.
Also, let's be real. If you planted that today, very many people would be loyalists.
Planted what today?
If you took that scenario and you dropped it in today, those people would be loyal.
What would the scenario be?
We're going to commit treason against our country and secede and say, nah, we're good. We're not under your rule of law anymore.
You're saying people would say what?
No, I'm not doing that. That's when you start getting to the sand and the water in the jar, because we're raised up and we're taught about this American Revolution so much in school in a certain way that the loyalists seem to be the bad guys.
Yeah. Even in that context. Yeah, I'm tracking with you.
And that's just not true.
Yeah.
It's not true. It's
because we tell the story, because I was an 8th grade U.S. history teacher. The loyalists were disloyal to the American Revolution. Right? But I mean, there's some irony in that statement of like, they just wanted to keep things as is. But like there was a precedent set with the American Revolution that, hey, anytime you can rise up, you have particular rights to question your government. I mean, it is written in the living document in number 1, which makes protest a part of this process, that dissent and debate is baked into what the founders created from the beginning. And I think it's to avoid war. That, yeah, we'll battle, we'll fight with words so we don't have to pick up weapons again. And that is a very American thing, just as American democracy has continued to be what it is for, it'll be 250 years next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To sort of understand that dynamic, you really have to understand what that John Hancock signature was saying. I mean, if they lose this thing,
he's dead.
He's cooked.
Yeah.
He's done. He's a man without a country who's soon to die the second they lay eyes on him. And he knows it. When that starts to hit home to you, then it becomes like, yeah, it's not so cut and dry anymore.
So there's this lady, Jeanette Rankin. She was the first woman ever elected to Congress out of Montana. So before she could vote for the president, she could vote to pass legislation in Congress. How crazy is that?
It's wild.
Okay. But she was a pacifist to the bone. World War I, she said no. Pearl Harbor happens. She's the only one to say no. The only one. True pacifist. But like we look back at her and go, I mean, look at World War II, we had to fight. But it was just so ingrained in her that she still had this power of vote, that even though she said no, which went against everything back then, and like, I mean, it seemed as if she was disloyal in a moment of saying and giving a dissenting vote. But we look back at her in history and go, but she had conviction, right? You get to play both of those cards in this hand, because that's what I want us to like, you've been saying it well the last couple episodes of like, you know, this or that, well, this and that. And there's probably something else to consider. But in the end, and this is the kind of at the core of this. Okay, so you're going to end up making decisions for yourself. You're going to end up making decisions for your family during COVID, after 9/11, right? The president just got killed, Kennedy. How safe is this place? Do we move to Canada? There's another war going on, Vietnam. You know, do I sign up? Do I wait to be drafted? Do I hopefully get lucky and not get drafted? Do I head up to Canada? Do I protest? Do I burn my card? Like, all these things are very American. Like this whole, you can run the whole gamut, but in the end, you have to decide for yourself. I don't know, that's a bit of a ramble, but like, I'm in the middle of processing all this, but like, these are my big rocks of understanding of, hey, this Constitution is a living document, and this protest thing, I mean, like, it's encouraged. I mean, the First Amendment is about speaking up, collecting signatures, assembling in public, as long as you don't get violent with it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is pretty powerful stuff.
And I think a majority of Americans are pretty content with protests, aren't they?
But how many Americans have ever protested? That's where I'm going with this. Yeah, you're right. There's a certain comfort level of it being in the document.
Yeah.
But how many have ever, I mean, like, have you ever been a part of some sort of rally?
No, I have tripped upon one or two and just kind of like you were talking about at the what was it, the Washington Redskins game?
Yeah, the Vikings game. Yeah.
Just kind of, the first time I went to DC, there was an Iranian protest of some sort happening out in front of the White House. It was pretty crowded.
Yeah.
And the Tennessee small town boy in me wanted to walk away, but there was something else where I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, but that's your curiosity, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't your conscience saying, you need to join. Have you ever joined a protest? Like I have.
No,
I haven't.
I've never found that hill. I haven't tripped on that hill yet.
Ooh, my man said yet.
Well, I say yet because one thing always jumps to my mind. I remember here a while back, we were talking about, and I don't know where it's at now. I haven't heard anything about it, and I don't really keep up with politics. I probably should a little more than I do, but I remember there was a time where the question was out there of like, would you support, I don't know the words that would be correct. I don't know if it's civil service or what it is for females, like make it to where a young girl in America could be drafted into the military by law. And I felt pretty vehemently against that at the time. I haven't thought about it in a long time, but I remember at that time thinking, this might be that hill, man. I don't want my sisters and my, those loved ones of mine, those.
How would Virginia Willis feel about that?
I don't know.
I mean, she's already serving. Now, we're putting words in her mouth.
Well, she's not in the military, though.
Yeah, but I mean.
But she does serve the public, for sure.
She can handle herself. I would imagine that someone like her would encourage other women to be able to handle themselves. I'm just trying to get beyond the Matt Paris opinion, and then like there's other people out there that might argue the other side. See how I haven't given my opinion on this?
Yeah, and I'm
just saying. Like
I have a lot to say, and I find myself stuffing a sock in my mouth right now.
Why would you do that?
Gosh, man, because there's no real need for it.
Okay.
You
brought it up.
Yeah, I mean we're gonna quickly get into a male female physical attributes combat warfare kind of conversation. And
okay, you just mentioned your sister. Just humor me on this one since you brought it up. Okay, yeah. So all right, that makes sense.
Yeah,
but have you ever come across any woman in your life, and you would be like, "Yeah, I could see her. She'd have my back."
I have.
Yeah.
In certain contexts.
Would she be, in your opinion, experience, or just keep it at an opinion, would she be the exception? Because I mean, there's plenty of dudes that have been drafted who were not capable, even though they were trained.
I think there are exceptions.
Yeah.
I think there are exceptions, but when you start drafting females, those exceptions become fewer and fewer.
Because they're not capable? I'm dragging you into this conversation.
Yeah, in comparison with males, no, they're not. Not in that. I used to feel really strongly about this in a really small-minded way. And in the police academy, I went through some night shoots, some drills, and they paired me with a female, and I would have totally went into a gun battle with her, for sure. She's in the FBI now. She was a firearms instructor even then. She was the exception. She was about 6 foot tall, and she could have probably played football. I mean, she was an exception. So there are exceptions. I'm not saying that there's not.
Yeah, we're talking about a draft, though.
But even that lady, and this is where this might be the end of the podcast.
You're about to give your opinion. Just give it.
Even that lady, a majority of males in hand-to-hand combat are going to toy with her. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah, but I don't even know what you mean by it.
Like, we're talking about sending females into war against trained soldiers that want to kill them.
They're going to be trained as well to kill back.
Yeah.
You don't think they can handle themselves?
As long as they can stay behind that trigger. But that's not always the case.
For men either. Now, let's clarify. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I have zero experience whatsoever.
Me too.
I have never been through basic.
Me too.
This
is a conversation that's also happening in the media, by the way.
I'm just a fan of strong, capable women.
I am too.
Yeah.
I am too. And should they choose to join the military and go into combat?
Well, see, that choice is different than a draft.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's why I brought this up.
That our military is choice. It does. I feel like that does make a difference.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So who is America in the world today? How do you see that? You're a citizen. You live here. You're proud to be an American. You fly a flag. You salute. You're sincere when you put your hand on your heart. Who is America in the world today?
Are you asking me the way that other...
I'll buy you some time. You, Matt Paris, how do you see your America? I would love for our students to be able to navigate this conversation of they have a legitimate perspective on the country that they were at least raised in, probably born and raised, that they could navigate that conversation with someone from California, which is different than a Tennessee experience, and New Hampshire, and Minnesota, and Louisiana and Florida, but that they could also travel. Yeah. They could get beyond our borders and be able to navigate this conversation in such a way that she or he could have a conversation with someone from France or from Canada or from Japan or from, Argentina, Nigeria, to be in a place that is not their home, but have a comfort level of being able to articulate what this country is all about. What is your country all about? How do you see the place of your birth and raising?
Man, that's a broad question.
It is. But to me, that's a big rock.
Yeah, it is. I would start with a little bit of pride in my country. I still think we are a more perfect union than most other countries out there. We are not a perfect union. We have struggles. We have things that, frustrate me. We have things that frustrate people that disagree with me. We're not perfect, and I don't think there'll ever be a perfect scenario.
There are people who you frustrate.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just me saying what I just said will frustrate some people.
Yeah.
I frustrate some people to death. Now, if I leave this soil and I go to another soil and have this conversation, you know how my conversation is going to go. It's going to be I'm going to try to get that other person talking. I want to hear what their country is. But I still think that America is that country that is a little further down the road than a lot of places. I really do. In a lot of ways. I think there are still places where we lack, and I think there are people, even as we speak, that are throwing words into the air verbally and on paper back and forth to try to figure out how to improve this nation. Other nations, I still think, can look to us in many ways as an example and as a support. I've always kind of seen that way. It's pretty rare that you find a scenario where the United States, they have to have support from this country or that country, whether it be monetarily or whatever. But it's often that our support is needed by other countries that are having issues that they can't resolve within. Now, do I believe that it's our job to go and police the world? I don't.
Do we?
I think we've had quite a bit of that. But even if you were to say that, we're not the policemen of the world, I really do think all of the policing that we've done in the world has at least started with good intentions and with cooperation.
I mean, we fought 2 hot wars during the Cold War. We had all this tension with communist Russia, but went and fought in Korea and Vietnam over communism. Because essentially what we were doing was fighting the Soviets from spreading communism. But yet we went, and one of those ended up in a stalemate, and one of them ended up in a big L. You know, I look at W after 9/11, and I mean, it was just like, it was tough not to back whatever was about to happen, wherever troops were about to go. And then Iraq, I think there was a turn. I think there was a turn in the world. Unbeknownst to me, I still was not aware of, I just wasn't politically aware. I still was pretty much just whatever the president says. I wasn't in a place in my life yet where I was questioning anything. But Obama and Trump and Biden and Trump again have been kind of carrying that weight of that turn. The world did not support us going to Iraq. And we can now look back and go, for pretty good reason, right? Obama had to carry that. And then even the war on terror certainly isn't over. But watch this. I'm saying all this because I turned that into a ramble. Here's my number 3. You ready?
Yeah.
You already alluded to it. American power has global consequences for better and worse. How do you feel about that statement? You track with that? You like the better part? You don't like the worst part? Is that a true statement?
Well, I mean, I still haven't arrived at a place where I'm comfortable not having the idea that America is the most powerful country in the world.
Yeah, that's not saying that it's not.
I know.
But that power has not always been for good or for the betterment of that place that we have found ourselves.
Yeah, but I'm just saying with me personally,
Yeah.
I still, you say for better or for worse, and when I start weighing that out, there's a lot of me that wants to, are we good? Are we still the most powerful? I like that. I take comfort in it.
What do you think the key word is in that statement? American power has global consequences for better and worse.
I mean, I guess the most intriguing to me is the worse. I would like to hear the color behind that.
See, to me, where I camp out with this is consequences. Because that's a whole, hey, let's camp out here just for a second. So there's not only good consequences, but there's bad consequences. But there is also intended consequences and unintended consequences.
Of course.
And then there is immediate consequences and there is delayed consequences. And every single thing mentioned just now is very personal to every individual. We get consequences. But now we're talking about on a global scale, the country that we reside in, when they make choices, those consequences are sometimes good and sometimes not so good. And that builds people up. Sometimes it doesn't build people up. Some of it is an immediate impact and some of it is delayed for better and worse. Because that's the phrase for me. I mean, it's not an or, it's an and. I mean, like our American story shows us that things have turned out differently. And sometimes you can't tell in the moment. I mean, I don't know how much you know about the Vietnam War. Are you familiar with the Tet Offensive?
I know that word.
Okay, so on their New Year surprise attack, I mean, we get our butts kicked. But within about a month, we turned that around. But that was the turning point in the war because the American public was like, what are we doing? We've just seen 100,000 troops go there. We think this is going to turn the tide. And now this one thing, because it was televised, which we could, I mean, in my list right here, media pops up. But the American public thinks we're losing. But if you get into the military strategy with hindsight, you go, oh, okay, yeah, that day did not go well. But within the month, we had turned and we had pushed back, and now there's momentum again. Now, in the end, Vietnam doesn't end well. But this one moment, this one thing, when we just see the one without any context, we miss a bunch. So the consequences of that one day look like defeat, but the consequences of our resilience in our military was we gained back whatever position we had lost by that very public embarrassment is really what it was. It was an embarrassment. So I look at that, and for me, that's all about consequences. But I hear you when you say the most intriguing thing is the worst. Like, give me more details about that. Like, yeah, I get that. But like, to me, that's not missing the point, but it's not the point. Yeah, that makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. What else when you think personally for you?
I don't know. I mean, you just explained it pretty well.
I mean, even beyond, if you were still crafting your list. Remember, I made a list of 20. I've done some homework here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can totally move beyond everything.
Well, you sort of alluded to a huge one, and that's the rocket ship speed advancement in technology over the last pick a 1 year, 5 years,
6 months. I mean, like
10, yeah. I mean, 10 years, 30, 40, 50, it's that religion, the religion and its impacts on society, its importance or unimportance to individuals residing in the same community. I have to imagine, and this is where maybe one day I'll fly out of this place and go somewhere else, but I have to imagine that there's a lot of places on this same rock that if we walked out my front door and started visiting with neighbors, we probably all agree on our religion, on our creation, whatever word you want to use to describe that. But it's not the case here. It's not the case here now. Maybe it was more at one time in certain areas.
You still talking about your neighborhood, this country, or are you still talking about the rock?
Yeah, the rock is the earth.
I know.
Yeah.
You think there was a time when all the people on the rock shared the same view?
No. There are times in this American story where it's likely that if I was living in a community unless we're talking, I'm in New York City and I'm coming in on Ellis Island, then there's a lot of things happening there. But I'm talking about if I'm out in the countryside with a community of people, we probably at certain times in our story, we probably chose to be there or traveled there together or settled there together. But now I'm fast forward from there to now, and everybody thinks different, even within the same faith. There's so many things going on, so many views, so many.
Observation. You ready?
Yeah.
So, drive out to McMinn County. Mm-hmm. Get out on those county roads. Yeah. And you will see a Baptist church right next to a Methodist church, right next to a Presbyterian church, even out in the country.
Yeah.
Think about it, right?
Yeah.
That means there was already a church in that community, and someone came along within eyeshot, and they built another structure based upon the same Christ. And come right over here. And you can, within standing at this first building, you can see two other buildings, same faith, different view. No, I'm not coming to your building. I'm going to build another building.
Mm-hmm.
How crazy is that?
Well,
does that hit with what you're saying at all, or did I just take that a different direction?
It goes in a direction that I'd love to go, because I'm coming to a point in my life where I've never, at one time, how crazy is that? Yeah. But I've never understood that more than I understand it right now.
What do you understand?
I've been delving into legalism and some of these things in the church. And it's what it is. It's what it's always been. We have people that read the same words and they take it a little differently or a little what, and this starts creating divides in communities. And when I say community in this regard, I'm talking about the church. It's just been intriguing to me lately, and my mind has been there a lot. And I've mentioned to you already, I've been with a group of guys that I'm with. We've been reading through and studying the book of Romans for weeks, and we're in chapter 3. I mean, it's a snail's pace. It's a talk every verse out, every idea out.
You think that's what it was intended, or how it was intended to be read? Think they did that back in the day? I am literally asking a question that I do not know the answer to.
Do I think they sat down and dissected every verse? Mm-hmm. No.
Well, verses didn't exist, first of all.
No, they did not. No.
A literal letter from someone you love was sent to your community and read out loud. And it was reread. Yeah. It was cherished.
Like, we're in chapter 3, and one of the points I made to the guys in our last meeting was just that. We're in chapter 3, so we feel like we're really into this. But me and ChatGPT did some counting, and we're about 1,300 words into a long letter. This guy's still setting the stage. Paul literally I'm just in awe of this guy as a writer, okay? Because he sets up and he tells, if you look at it from beginning to end, forget the chapters, forget the verses, and you read it as a letter, it's structured so well, in a way that even today that I'm sort of envious of, the way he lays out his cause. And I don't imagine, you correct me on this if you know, but I don't imagine Paul sitting there like he gets 800 words in and he's like, and he rips it up and throws it away. I think he's just that masterful with words.
He can't be there. He hasn't made it to Rome.
Right.
He wants to write to this community of believers. And so he sits down and does. Yeah. Do you ever write Valerie letters? Valerie ever write you letters?
Not very much.
Do you have any of those?
I don't know.
Are you sentimental?
Sort of. Well, let me put it this way. If there's a collection of letters, I have them. I don't know where they're at. But I would have them, and our letters would be, maybe she had to go to work as I was coming home, or vice versa.
Those are notes.
We would write little notes.
Yeah. Letters though?
No, not so much.
Yeah. Because Sarah and I, while we were dating, we were apart from each other for a little bit. I went to Ecuador one time, so she wrote me some letters to read and to keep. Just traveling over the summer times, I'd go home, write letters. Like, if she wrote me 6 pages, as soon as I open that up, I'm not going to read the first page and go, all right, I feel Sarah's presence in this one page. Fold it up, put it back in the envelope, open it up the next day and read the second page.
Yeah.
Yep, got my fill today. Put it back in, open it up. You know where I'm going with this. Sure. As like, this is chapter 3. Oh, I feel her presence. I feel her love. I'm getting what she's saying. I put it back in the envelope. I get it out the next day. And then when I get through, I reread and
But if you read it 1,000 times and you really enjoyed that one part and you want to revisit that, you would definitely take it out, read the first.
How many of us have read the scriptures 1,000 times?
You've read the book of Romans through how many times? Guess.
Not 1,000.
Not 1,000. Let me over exaggerate a little bit.
No, but I mean, you're asking a legit question, and I just came up with a legit parallel that I had never considered in my whole entire life.
Yeah.
And from start to finish, Romans, I'm going to just say 8. It's not a lot.
Yeah, I would.
It's not a lot because we don't read it that way. But if you start breaking down the Romans road, I can start plucking out my Romans 6:23 and 3:23. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, but Was that the intent?
No, I would never argue that it was.
So we're now doing things that were never intended, which doesn't make it a bad thing. Doesn't make it unhealthy.
You're hating on my Bible study.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
I'm asking ourselves to reconsider our approach, because when we get closer to the intention of the author to the audience, I think we get closer to what we were already talking about, country churches and different denominations. Mm-hmm. In the scriptures, Paul is writing, and I think we've hit on this before. You know, I know I had a conversation with my boys on this trip of just each one of these letters is to a very particular group. That church at Ephesus was experiencing things different than the church at Corinth and Galatia and Philippi. Mm-hmm. And so he's writing to these groups. Now, we have treasured these letters. We have collected these letters. We are now dissecting these letters because they mean something. Mm-hmm. They're embedded with the Spirit. I believe that. But it is for the intent of the community to work it out for themselves. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with the division that it creates of you're wrong. But I do appreciate our community says that this is the way that we're going to live this out.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it being different. That's where I want to land that. I ain't questioning your Bible study.
No,
but I am questioning everything in a really healthy way, not only in this stage of my life, but I mean, it's you and I have always, we're curious. So we're going to maybe do some things that, other folks haven't considered, but I mean, that's maybe the gift that we're given to people to reconsider.
What's intriguing to me about Romans is it seems to be one of Paul's most thorough letters.
Oh,
because it's written to a church that he didn't establish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's got these these Jews and these Greeks all coming together and fighting over legalistic things, and they're clinging to that law that they've grown up with. And what's intriguing to me as we break it down and go slow through it with a group of men at varying levels of reading comprehension is we're in the introduction, and he's still, in layman's terms, he's still tearing these guys up, saying like, "Who are you? Like, if you're going to preach this law, you better live by it," because he reminds them that God judges sin through Christ Jesus and blah, blah, whatever. I'm not going to get into the nuts and bolts.
You're preaching already, buddy.
But we use that. We get past that introduction, and because we've read it chapter by chapter and verse by verse, we set that introduction aside. And now we go and see where he says something like, "Those who would teach, if you preach against adultery, just do not commit adultery yourself." And we use those parts of the same person's letter to disagree.
I really like the part where it talks about there is no condemnation.
Yeah, I do too.
I like the parts where nothing is going to separate me from the love of Christ.
I love the part, and I bring this up all the time, and I can't wait to get to chapter 7 with these guys. But I love the part where Paul himself comes to this place that maybe I've arrived at in 40 years of like, that place that maybe I thought as a kid I was going to get to, where this would be an easy walk because it was told to me how easy it was. I still find myself failing in the same way. I can find in chapter 7, Paul doing the same thing, saying, "God, who will free me from this bag of flesh? The things that I want to do, I don't do. And the things that I don't want to do, I do." But anyways, all of that to say,
you cannot anyways that, man. Just at least pause and take a breath and let all of us, including myself, just go, huh.
The legalism and the no condemnation comes from the same letter. Or the same letters.
So what would happen if your fellas took one, let me just say it first. Hey, next week, or when we're done with this, we're just going to come in, we're going to read the whole thing straight through. First of all, how long would that take? Is it really as long as we think it is? It does have to do with intellectual stamina and reading comprehension skills.
Sure, it does.
It does.
Absolutely.
But every time that you would read it, you would see, sense, discern something fresh every time. Because that really is how the brain works. It's how it processes. I believe in a creator. That's how the brain was created. I think there is something very intentional to the way just we process things, pour over it. Blessed is the man whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and he does meditate on it day and night. That's just a return back, not necessarily the dissection of. The dissection of, yeah, it serves a purpose, but I'm going to go ahead and say it this way. Who are you doing that with? I'm not asking you that.
Yeah.
Who are you dissecting it with? With folks who do grasp a cultural, historical, literary context with it? Because those are the skills that it takes to dissect literature. But if you don't have that skill set, you're just reading it seemingly slow. But everyone is invited to the scrolls. I mean, that's the tradition in the synagogue. Everyone come and listen. And we are going to read through this passage. And we're going to let it be. And like to continue to read and just let it wash over us. And there's some beauty to that. Like I am a tactician. I love breaking things down. I love dissecting. And I have done that. And I still continue to do that. But there's been a turn in my heart of just wanting to have it wash over me rather than, I don't know, I'm desiring a different experience with the word, and this is what this is. Mm. Trying to take a longer span of time and really just read it out loud, throw it at other people. Hey, have you considered sitting down with the book of Hosea and just reading it all the way through? Or Jonah? I mean, Jonah will get you from start to finish, not just the Sunday school story that we tell. And then it just ends so abruptly. I mean, there's just so many. And just with the smaller letters and the smaller stories, it's just, I don't know. I'm fascinated by that. And I'm just, that's not something new between you and I.
No. But there are not only Christians in this American idea, we have friends and neighbors of the Muslim faith, Buddhist, Hindu, I can't name them all. We're all here. And the impact of that in our Constitution, in the big ways and the small ways. And the small ways, just an example of that is, we have I spoke just a week ago about a legislator in Texas who's a Christian. And there are legislators across the nation who are of the Muslim faith or the Hindu faith, or that's how this idea is impacted, maybe in the smaller ways. That's another big one. I think I have to include that in my items that I would love for students to be able to at least enter into a conversation with ears and consideration. Yeah. And it's relationship with our government.
Because they all have their sacred scriptures.
Yeah. Just
as we do, so do they. And then we have this shared living document we call the Constitution. But watch this, 16, 17, and 18. I tried to go with kind of a chronological unfolding of all my things. So at 16, I had religion influences politics. Religion shapes public life. That certainly could have been much further up the list when I say chronologically. But then it goes to mass media shapes individuals' minds and drives public opinion, and vice versa. And technology is never neutral. Technology reshapes society. So, I mean, like, we just camped out on the religion part, but you just went bam, bam, bam in order when you were continuing our conversation. So it's just cool to see how we've just kind of landed on some similar stuff.
Huh.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. It's a good talk. That's one that we could continue and continue and continue. Never-ending podcast.
Let's just see the longest episode we could ever create. Let's go, man. Do a 24-hour podcast sometime.
24.
Yeah, let's just do it.
That's wild. All right. Well, hey, until next time, we'll see you, friends.